The girl paid her respects to her lifesaver and took them as a teacher. But she was determined to crush Master to pieces. Just because Sue North from her past life saw potential in her innate Tao body. He took her as his disciple only to train her into a furnace. He supplemented day and night with treasures, and in the end, even her Tao bones were dug out by him. In this life, Xiao Ruoqing will return reborn and must crush Sue North to ashes. However, Sue North is also a time traveler. Never did he expect that the disciple assigned to him by the system would actually want to betray the master and destroy the sect. Just as the two sisters were fighting, Big Senior Sister suddenly said, "Are you two junior sisters afraid that Senior Sister will catch you doing something forbidden?" Upon hearing this, Xianxia immediately explained, "We are all here to study sword arts. Senior brother has become very powerful now, and can even draw out the verdant float sword." Grand Elder's lips curled slightly as he remarked, "He has indeed gained the ability to draw the verdant float sword. Little North doesn't know if he can demonstrate for Senior Sister again." Then, three pairs of eyes full of anticipation all looked at Sue North. Sue North looked embarrassed, thinking to himself that he didn't have this ability at all. He wondered if the reason he succeeded before was perhaps because the verdant float sword hadn't reacted yet. On the side, Xianxia spoke again, but just now, Senior Brother seemed to struggle a bit when communicating with the verdant float sword. "I think Senior Brother might not be able to do it now." Grand Elder also enjoys watching the excitement and doesn't mind getting involved. Immediately he added, "Oh, then let's forget about it. After all, everyone has their moments of inability." Sue North felt as though he had been hit by 1,000 arrows. A man should never accept being told that he can't do something by a woman at any time. At the same time, Xiao Ruoqing took the opportunity while Sue North went to the back mountain to practice swordsmanship, and secretly cultivated the sword manual again. After a night of hard training, Xiao Ruoqing has already developed a sense of qi. She is only one step away from the qi refining stage. Even if you look across the entire 21 prefecture at people of the same age, you won't find a second person as talented as me in terms of cultivation speed. However, I still need to work harder and strive to defeat Master as soon as possible. Just as he was about to close his eyes and continue cultivation, large patches of flowers and plants suddenly appeared around him. He looked at this scene in disbelief. Could this be the legendary selfless stage? Xiao Ruoqing forcibly suppressed his excitement. She tightly closed her eyes, planning to take full advantage of this opportunity to make a full-on push toward the qi refining stage. As the sky gradually brightened, more and more people gathered around to watch Sue North draw his sword. By this time, Sue North, with an embarrassed look on his face, stood still. Just as he was pondering how this would end, Xianxia saw Senior Brother standing still without making a move, thinking that he was waiting for everyone to witness this miraculous moment. So she shouted loudly, which attracted a large group of disciples to come and watch. At this moment, Xiaozurobe and June No Evil flew by on their swords. The two of them heard that Sue North was about to unsheathe the verdant float sword. Xiaozurobe immediately changed the flying direction, and hurriedly flew towards Sue North's location. Grand Elder saw that Sue North hesitated to act and asked, "Little North, what is the difficulty?" Just as Sue North was about to confess to Big Senior Sister, the system suddenly prompted that Xiao Ruoqing broke through the qi refining stage and successfully comprehended a trace of the selfless stage. The host received a 7,700 times profit feedback and successfully broke through the selfless achievement stage. Sue North's face was instantly filled with joy. He is indeed the son of luck. The disciple is simply a tool for showing off. Reaching the selfless stage means that I can obtain the recognition of the verdant float sword, right? At this moment, Sue North seems like a completely different person, radiating self-confidence from head to toe. With all of you as witnesses, North dares to draw the sword sex treasured verdant float sword. Xiaozurobe sneered disdainfully at this moment, saying, "The verdant float sword is not something any Tom, Dick, or Harry can just draw out. If you can pull out the verdant float sword, I'll livestream myself eating 100,000 kilograms of feces on the spot." But in the next moment, the verdant float sword was easily pulled out by Sue North with one hand. And then countless sword shadows cascaded from above, covering the entire swordless peak like a shroud, obscuring the sky and sun. Xiao Ruoqing had successfully broken through to the qi refining stage at this moment. After waking up, she came to the window and stretched lazily. Then she saw the massive sword shadow above Swordless Peak. She was so scared that she hurried to the back of Swordless Peak to find out what was going on. Sue North was holding the verdant float sword, and when Xiao Ruoqing saw this familiar figure in front of her holding the verdant float sword, she immediately knelt down on the spot. After experiencing so much, she has finally broken through the selfless stage. Sue North has already reached the selfless achievement stage? How should this deep vengeance be avenged? In the wilderness, a man suddenly stopped a young girl. He unexpectedly wanted the girl to unfasten his belt and said he wanted to show her a big treasure, describing it as a great tonic to suggest she should eat more to nourish her body. This frightened the girl, causing her to panic and quickly step back several paces. Just a few hours ago, Sue North successfully pulled out the verdant float sword. Big senior sister asked with a shocked expression on her face. North, how did you comprehend the selfless stage? Sue North replied calmly, I just did. The essence of swordsmanship lies in staying away from emotions. With no women in your heart, your swordsmanship will naturally improve. Women will only affect the speed at which you draw your sword. Remember this, everyone. Sue North's words instantly sparked commotion among the crowd below. Faintly, one could hear voices saying, Let's break up. Big senior sister angrily dispersed everyone with a furious expression on her face. At this moment, only Sue North is seen in swordless peak stuffing various Dan pills into a bag. Master, where are you planning to go with all these things packed up? Xiao Ruoqing had just finished speaking when a piece of paper was stamped on his face. So Sue North is going to Ink City this time to investigate the missing disciple, and to also attract investments for the recruitment event. Sue North turned around and looked. Xiao Ruoqing had already packed up everything, holding a chicken in her left hand and a duck in her right hand, with a chubby baby on her back. Sue North asked in confusion, Are you dressed like this to visit your mother's home? Upon hearing this, Xiao Ruoqing's face instantly filled with sadness and she said, Master Chinger no longer has a home. Sue North realized he had spoken incorrectly and quickly stepped forward to gently stroke Xiao Ruoqing's head, comforting her. It's okay. Don't overthink it. From now on, this place is your home. He then took out a storage ring and handed it to Xiao Ruoqing for storing things. Xiao Ruoqing looked at the ring in her hand, thinking to herself, Master, how nice it would be if you could always be like this. On the way, Sue North activated the village auntie mode at the entrance. At one moment, she mentioned that all the sect disciples had disappeared. It was too scary. Then she talked about finding a spiritual spring to let disciple soak Xiao Ruoqing. Disciple just followed silently behind Sue North. As they walked, Sue North suddenly stopped, turned around and said, Disciple, come help me untie my belt. Master wants to show you a treasure. Eating it would be greatly beneficial for you. Xiao Ruoqing was startled by this and quickly stepped back, asking, Master, what are you trying to do? The next second, Sue North kindly took out a large pile of Dan pills used to enhance cultivation, and handed them to Xiao Ruoqing. Such a talented disciple, I should treat her better. If she were to run away, I would have nowhere to cry. Xiao Ruoqing looked at the sudden scene in front of her and couldn't help but fall into contemplation. Such precious Dan pills were casually given to me. In the previous life, I didn't even catch sight of a Dan pill. I really can't understand him more and more. At this moment, a sentence from Sue North broke the temporary silence. All right, we need to hurry up and hit the road. Sue North led Xiao Ruoqing all the way. The two finally could see the tall gate of Ink City. As soon as the two entered Ink City, they saw various places selling information about major sects. At this time, the young man beside them asked excitedly for information about the sword sect, but received a contemptuous reply with a disdainful face. Sword sect? Even dogs would shake their heads at the mention of that trashy sect. After hearing this, Xiao Ruoqing couldn't help but quietly ask Sue North, Master, is our sword sect's reputation really so bad? Disciples don't need to pay attention, they are just a group of ordinary people, was the response. At this time, the young man still did not believe and continued to ask Sue North. Seeing this, Sue North called him over. The young man saw the extraordinary Sue North in front of him and thought that he must have met a master. So he excitedly said, Hello, sir. My name is Mo Xiaoqiang. Mr. Sue North carefully examined the young man in front of him and discovered that he was the son of the purple Qi lineage, second only to the red Qi lineage. It's just a bit of a pity that he is male. Xiaoqiang, the current sword sect is nothing but a declining sect. Why do you want to speak up for them? Xiaoqiang looked panic-stricken at this moment. Indeed, the senior's test has arrived. So he praised the sword sect and even mentioned that his sister also admires the sword path very much. Do you have a sister too? Sue North immediately became interested upon hearing this. Meanwhile, in the Ink City Mo family compound, a woman wearing black stockings slowly walked out of the house. This person is Sue North, looking for the son of the red Chi-Luck named Emoli. An old servant handed Emoli enrollment letters from various major sects. Then he kindly said, with Mrs. Talent combining sword bone and sword heart, I believe all the sects in the 21 prefectures are available for Miss to choose from. When Emily saw the recruitment letter from the Sword Sect, her face darkened when she saw the recruitment letter from the Sword Sect. Sword Sect Su North, in my previous life you dug out my sword bone, destroyed my Taoist heart, and did such things to me, causing me to cultivate day and night until death. This life, I am reborn and will come back to avenge this grudge. Afterwards, Emily told her father that she wanted to join the Sword Sect. Back in her room, Emily practiced sword fighting with a straw dummy. As soon as she saw it, she chopped off the dummy's head and said, "Su North, you old dog, this life I will make sure you lose your head first." The man took on 2 incredibly beautiful women as his disciples. But they were determined to destroy their master completely. Just because in their previous lives, they were not only exploited by their master, they were also used as furnace cauldrons, constantly drained until death. In this life they were reborn and returned, swearing to completely crush and annihilate the master. At this moment, Su North is on the way to Ink City with senior disciple Xiao Ruoqing to find the second child of Destiny disciple. Just entered Ink City and saw a young man inquiring about information on the Sword Sect. So Su North called the young man over and after some inquiries, found out that the young man has a sister at home, and she also longs to join the Sword Sect. So he handed a token to the young man, asking him to let his sister come here tomorrow to find him. After the young man left, Su North immediately brought Xiao Ruoqing to the Red Pavilion. "Tonight, we will rest here at the Red Pavilion, disciple." Before Xiao Ruoqing could respond, she was dragged inside by Su North. At the same time, the young man returned home and couldn't wait to tell his sister about his adventure today. He said he had met Su North from the Sword Sect. Emily was very excited to hear that it was Su North. She grabbed her brother's shoulder only to find younger brother Emo Xiaoqiang was still holding Su North's token in his hand. After a friendly exchange with her younger brother, she snatched the token away. Then with a look of hatred on her face she said, "Su North, I haven't come looking for you yet, and you've come knocking on my door." At this time Su North was being surrounded by several women. Just saw Su North take out several spiritual stones from the storage ring, and ordered to arrange a room. "By the way, there have been Sword Sect disciples missing recently. I wonder if there are any clues here at Red Pavilion." Later, he asked Xiao Ruoqing to rest in the room first, while he went to attend to some official business with this sister. On the way, the woman said to Su North, "I wonder how is Elder Su's ransom prepared?" Su North looked confused, wondering what ransom is all about. The woman then explained to Su North. It turned out that a disciple of the Sword Sect came to the Red Pavilion to freeload. They didn't pay, so they were detained by the Red Pavilion. As the gate slowly opened, 3 disciples covered in bruises appeared before their eyes. When Su North saw this scene, he suddenly felt that he had lost all face. So he angrily went up and gave them a Foshan shadowless kick. The 3 of them quickly cried out, "Elder, we've been deceived. We agreed on 1,000 taels of gold for one night, but the next day when we went to pay, it became 1,000 taels just to touch it lightly. Elder Su, you are also aware of the reputation of our Red Pavilion." Afterwards, they took out a bill signed and sealed by the 3 of them. Looking at the detailed record of the bill, Su North was so angry that his teeth itched. "Those celestial pigs raised by me are not as valuable as the few actions you took." Su North sighed helplessly and had to go talk to the manager of Red Pavilion. The woman quickly brought Su North to the room of Pavilion Master. Just saw a very charming and enchanting woman lying quietly on the bed waiting for his arrival. This person is none other than Pavilion Master Redsleeves of the Red Pavilion. At this moment, the verdant float sword at Su North's waist suddenly trembled, and then Su North slowly woke up from Redsleeves' seduction art. He looked at the delicate body on the bed and smiled faintly. Soul-capturing peony bewildering fragrance, does the sect master of Starlight Moon sect think too highly of me? Redsleeves remained silent, only silently gazing at the sword hanging from Su North's waist. "Elder Su, just now it was I who made a mistake. I just wanted to see if Elder Su had the ability to discuss matters. Please come inside for a detailed conversation." Behind the screen there is a large round daybed. A woman is lying on the daybed, looking at Su North and saying, "Elder Su, you are the first man to come to my chamber." The man took in 2 exceptionally beautiful women as his apprentices. But they are determined to destroy their master. Just because Su North forcibly took over their bodies before, and tormenting women in various ways at night until they die. Finally, they are cruelly dug out their bones and destroyed their sword heart. In this life they are reborn and return, swearing to completely defeat their master. However, Su North is completely unaware of this, because the current Su North is a time traveler. Since Sue North crossed over from Earth, he awakened a special ability, that as long as disciple cultivate himself, he can receive feedback of thousandfold returns. Therefore, if he wants to have a comfortable future, he needs to recruit more talented and intelligent female disciples. After receiving the prompt, Sue North knew that Ink City had a disciple who was blessed with spiritual energy. He immediately set off for Ink City to search for a second talented female disciple with a natural sword heart. Upon arriving in Ink City, he wanted to first gather some information at Red Pavilion. Unexpectedly, as soon as he stepped into Red Pavilion, he fell victim to the alluring seduction art of Red Pavilion. At this moment, a very enchanting and charming woman appeared before his eyes. With every movement and gesture, she exudes myriad charms. At this moment she is lying on the bed, quietly looking at Sue North. This person is the pavilion master Red Sleeves of the Red Pavilion. The verdant float sword hanging from Sue North's waist suddenly trembled. Sue North then slowly woke up from the woman's seductive arts. He then exclaimed, "The woman's seduction art is indeed terrifying. Luckily, I had the sword sex precious verdant float sword to protect me this time. Otherwise my waist would probably have been broken by now." Later, Sue North looked at the woman in front of him and said lightly, "Starlight Moon Sect Master, it's better to put away these little tricks. I came this time to discuss collaboration with Starlight Moon Sect." At this moment Red Sleeves looked slightly puzzled. How did this kid with such a low cultivation level break my seduction art? Could it be that my charm is not enough? She looked puzzled. Then her beautiful eyes couldn't help but scrutinize Sue North, her gaze quickly falling on the long sword at Sue North's waist. With sharp eyes she immediately noticed that this was at least a top-tier Earth-ranked sword. She then sat up slowly and said scornfully, "It's a pity that your sword sect can't even come up with 10 million gold taels. What capital do you have to negotiate cooperation with us?" Sue North calmly replied, "What if I have a plan that could bring in at least tens of millions of gold taels in profit annually for our two sects?" Hearing this, Red Sleeves immediately began to think seriously. This is impossible, it's several times more than the income of Red Pavilion. At this time, an unexpected guest suddenly arrived outside Red Pavilion. Looking closely, the person who came turned out to be Shan Wulan, the 9th junior sister of Sue North. Although she appears aloof on the surface, her heart has always been deeply in love with Sue North. Therefore, when Sue North descended the mountain this time, she followed him all the way here. As soon as she entered, Shan Wulan accidentally noticed Xiao Ruoqing standing beside him, feeling jealous immediately. She thought about driving Xiao Ruoqing away from senior brother, or else she would never have a chance to be with him in the future. She then turned to Xiao Ruoqing and said, "Are you willing to be my disciple?" She even took out the spirit bead of heaven and earth, promising, "As long as you become my disciple, I will immediately help you build the most perfect foundation establishment and even avenge you right away." Xiao Ruoqing didn't even think about it and shouted, "Ninth Elder, I cannot accept your kind offer. Such a matter will harm the camaraderie among fellow disciples. I hope Ninth Elder will consider the bigger picture." Shan Wulan couldn't help but feel a bit frustrated after hearing this. So annoying. Just met senior brother a few days ago and already clinging on so tightly. What if this goes on for a long time? Forget it, let's just forget what I said. Consider these spirit beads as a gift from you for paying respects to 5th Elder as your master. However, your master may not be as good as you think, Shan Wulan said, then turned and left. Along the way, he felt pleased with his plan to sow discord. By planting a seed of doubt in her heart now, he could eventually drive a wedge between her and senior brother. Xiao Ruoqing watched Shan Wulan walk away, looking puzzled. What did he mean by this? She followed us all the way to Red Pavilion and now she's trying to win over Sue North. Could it be that she has seen through Sue North's true nature a long time ago? Is that why she has been treating Sue North so badly? At this moment, Sue North picked up a chalk and started acting like a teacher. He is analyzing the process of this collaboration for Red Sleeves, who is next to him. After listening carefully to Sue North's words about the collaboration, Red Sleeves, she couldn't help but sigh at how formidable Sue North's business acumen was. How did she not notice such a person before? The woman in front of him was embraced by the man. The next second her face turned painful. But afterwards the woman was not angry. Instead, she showed a lingering and unforgettable expression. In the end she even stepped forward and hugged the man from behind. Just a few minutes ago the woman wanted to kill Sue North. The reason was surprisingly because Sue North had just proposed a cooperative plan that could earn tens of millions of gold in profits every year. Just as Sue North was full of confidence, thinking that the cooperation was going smoothly, unexpectedly, Starlight Moon Sect Master Yu Redsleeves wanted to take all the profits for himself. She is even more unscrupulous, slowly accumulating power to prepare for a sneak attack on Su North. But Su North simply stood with his hands in his pockets and said lightly, Sect Master Yu, I can consider your actions just now as a joke. Elder Su, what if I'm not joking? All I have to do is point lightly, and your life at the divine transcendence stage will be in danger. She is indeed a demon woman from the evil sect, not following any rules. Just thinking about how to deal with it in Su North. A voice suddenly sounded in his mind, congratulating the host on breaking through the foundation establishment stage, and rewarding the host with 2 Dao Convergence Pinnacle Experience cards. He looked at the experience cards flickering with a faint golden light in his consciousness sea, and his heart was instantly filled with ecstasy. Redsleeves, looking at Su North in front of him with a puzzled expression, wondered why this guy wasn't afraid at all? Where did he get this inexplicable confidence from? Su North just put down the teacup with a bang. And then he hugged Yu Redsleeves in his arms. The next moment, countless sword chi rushed towards Su North. The verdant float sword that had been resting diagonally on Su North's waist instantly surrounded Su North's side. Su North looked indifferent as he gazed at Yu Redsleeves, while his other hand slowly took out the Dao Convergence Pinnacle Experience card. Suddenly explosion. Only to see Su North exuding a terrifying aura all over his body. Seeing this sudden change, Yu Redsleeves couldn't help but step back several steps. You are actually a Dao Convergence Pinnacle, how is this possible? How could 21 Prefecture have such a young Dao Convergence Pinnacle? In response to her question, Su North simply said, Sect Master Yu's actions are really annoying. I've always detested people who are inconsistent. Seeing Su North's terrifying strength, Yu Redsleeves' cheeks turned red. At this moment, the only thing on her mind was that she must firmly bind herself with Su North. In the future, when he prospers, she will definitely get to enjoy the richest benefits. And then Yu Redsleeves' soft body pressed against Su North's. I was impolite just now, I hope Elder Su won't mind, she said. Unlike Elder Su, who always addresses me as Sect Master Yu, it feels somewhat detached. How about we use a different form of address when it's just the 2 of us? Sect Master Yu, I understand your painstaking efforts. As the Sect Master of Starlight Moon Sect, you must have put in a lot of effort and hard work to protect the female disciples of the sect from the coveting of men in the world. As the effect of the Dao Convergence Pinnacle Experience card slowly fades, Yu Redsleeves stares intently at Su North. At this moment, Su North feels guilty in his heart, but he still maintains a lofty demeanor, hoping that this woman will not see through him. Elder Su, this time's cooperation my Starlight Moon Sect agrees. Later, Yu Redsleeves took out a token and handed it to Su North. This token is the Starlight Moon token. Seeing the token is like seeing the Sect Master. With this token, you can enjoy all the resources of the Starlight Moon Sect. I would like to make friends with Elder Su privately. This Starlight Moon token is exclusive to you, and has nothing to do with the Sword Sect. If possible, when it's just the 2 of us, could Elder Su call me sister? Su North swallowed his saliva. In that case, Brother Su will accept sister's kindness. Also, I would like to trouble sister to prepare 1 million taels of gold for brother. Yu Redsleeves reached out and hugged Su North's arm. Okay, Brother Su, sister will immediately arrange for someone to prepare. Yu Redsleeves' sudden intimate move made Su North blush involuntarily. Sister Yu is so kind to me. Brother will also give sister a good gift. After speaking, he took out a pair of black stockings from his arms and gave them to Yu Redsleeves. Yu Redsleeves carefully examined the stockings that Su North gave her, surprised to find that her younger brother had quite a few nice things for her. A man who serves as a sword sect elder is playing with stocking temptations with the evil sect master. Unexpectedly, this scene happened to be witnessed by the junior sister, who has always had a crush on him. She looked at the stockings in the woman's hand. Xianxia couldn't help but feel jealous. She didn't know what the relationship between Sect Master Yu and 5th senior brother was. As for Yu Redsleeves, she could see through her little thoughts at a glance. Do I still need to explicitly say what the relationship is? Once Yu Redsleeves said this, Xianxia was instantly angered. She was seen holding her sword, and the cloud sea sword chi around her kept rising. You demon woman, why are you trying to confuse me and have senior brother detain me? A sword sect disciple? Yu Redsleeves' eyes narrowed. Just with your power at the earlier nascent void stage, you dare to behave so arrogantly in front of me? Yu Redsleeves instantly erupted with a terrifying pressure all over his body, then surged straight towards Xianxia like a raging tide. After one move, Xianxia was defeated. He looked at the woman in front of him with a shocked face. Is this the power of Dao Convergence? You Red Sleeves suppressed the terrifying pressure and looked disdainfully at Shan Wulan, continuing to criticize. How could Su North, a willful and arrogant woman like you, ever fall for you? Upon hearing this, Shan Wulan's heart was once again struck. Am I really seen as such a person in the eyes of others? Could senior brother also have such an opinion of me? Shan Wulan, with tears in her eyes, plans to go find Su North and clarify things. Just as she reached Su North's door, she heard Xiao Ruoqing's voice asking, "What kind of person do you think Ninth Uncle Master is?" Ninth Uncle Master's personality matches her name. In the eyes of others, she appears to be aloof and distant. But in the eyes of the Master, she is still the little girl who used to look up with big eyes and ask the Master to shake the peach tree for her. Shan Wulan outside the door felt extremely moved after hearing this. Even I don't remember such a small thing like shaking peach blossoms myself. I didn't expect senior brother to remember it so clearly. It turns out that I am so important in senior brother's heart. But when she thought of the demoness who had disturbed her Taoist heart before, she couldn't help feeling angry. Well, now that the heart demon calamity has been resolved, it's better to find a good place to break through to the middle nascent void stage first. At this time, Su North in the room was still feeling pleased with himself. Look at him, casually making up a plot that a young girl would favor. Isn't he just trying to deceive you? Xiao Ruoqing on the side is still in shock. She never expected Master to hold Ninth Master in such high regard. Doesn't he know that Ninth Uncle Master has seen through him a long time ago? Perhaps she is secretly planning some strategy to deal with him. Su North suddenly turned to Xiao Ruoqing and said, "Let's go. I have already reached a cooperation agreement with Red Pavilion. Now come with me to rescue the trap sect disciple." Su North looked at the rescued sword sect disciples in front of him and felt embarrassed again. How should he explain to Big Senior Sister when he went back? He couldn't possibly say he went to solicit prostitutes and didn't bring enough money, could he? After being rescued, the sword sect disciples all started to flatter Su North at the same time. Xiao Ruoqing on the side saw this scene and fell silent. Just escaped from the wolf's den, and now falling into the tiger's mouth. After rescuing the disciples, Su North planned to leave the Red Pavilion with everyone. Walking on the road, they still heard many people's discussions. Wow, which sect is strolling through our territory like this? Just as they reached the door, Su North heard someone calling his name. Elder Su, how did you come out of the kiln? At this time, a young woman standing beside him respectfully said, "Mo family, Emoli, greetings to Sword Sect Elder Su." Su North saw that Emoli was emitting a red aura all over her body. He immediately smiled with joy as a red aura emerged all around him. This is definitely the second female disciple he was looking for. On the side, Xiao Ruoqing started to worry. Could it be that she still cannot escape the fate of being cultivated day and night by this pseudo-gentleman who collects ingredients in a cauldron? Two girls worship their savior as their teacher. But they are determined to crush their master to pieces. She was only accepted as a disciple because Su North from her past life recognized her innate Tao body. He not only trained her to become a furnace, he also absorbed energy from her day and night. In the end, even her Tao bones were dug out by him. In this lifetime they are reincarnated and return, vowing to utterly destroy Master. However, Su North is also a time traveler. He never expected that the disciple assigned to him by the system would actually have intentions to betray the Master and destroy the sect. At this moment, Su North is walking on the street with several sword sect disciples. Suddenly, a shout came from not far away and entered his ears. Then Mo Xiaoqiang appeared with his sister Emoli in front of Su North. Su North's face lit up with joy when he saw that Emoli was surrounded by a red aura. The red aura. This is definitely the second female disciple I've been looking for. On the side, Xiao Ruoqing showed a hint of worry. Could it be that junior sister Emoli still can't escape the fate of her past life? Inside an inn, after Su North sat down with everyone, Mo Xiaoqiang started chattering incessantly in everyone's ears. Seeing this, Emoli had no choice but to get up and pour tea. She had just walked to Su North's side. But suddenly, Emoli lost her balance and stumbled. The scalding hot tea splashed all over Su North. Startled, Su North quickly backed away in fear. However, despite this, the scalding hot tea still landed on the outside of his pants. Emoli stood aside and quickly apologized, but Su North just smiled and said it's okay, not to worry too much. After all, everyone can slip sometimes. But Emoli still feels guilty. She anxiously rummaged through the small bag around her waist, searching for tissues. But the next moment, he pulled out a small dagger, and with a casual flick, the dagger swiftly flew towards Su North's crotch. Su North saw the small dagger flying swiftly towards him. He was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. He quickly caught the flying dagger with his hand. Luckily he had practiced the spirit rhinoceros finger, otherwise his life would be in danger today. Just when he was secretly grateful for being saved. Unexpectedly, the next second his finger was cut open. At this moment Sue North was speechless. Oh my, why is today so unlucky? If I didn't know you, I would seriously suspect you did it on purpose. Emily on the side, seeing Sue North injured, quickly apologized. Elder Sue, are you okay? I didn't mean it. This dagger is usually for self-defense, and I even applied some love-enticing powder on it. At this moment, Sue North suddenly felt a strange sensation in his heart. The next moment, he blushed and covered his prized dagger with a shy expression. I can understand someone applying poison to a dagger for self-defense, but what on earth is this love-enticing powder? Are you afraid that a bad guy won't be able to catch you unless you use it? At this moment, although Sue North felt very uncomfortable from the swelling, he still acted as if nothing was wrong in front of everyone. He then gestured for Emily to sit down first. Sue North then looked towards Emily beside him and said, I heard from your younger brother that you have a great admiration for the sword sect, is that true? Emily immediately scowled and replied, I am indeed very much looking forward to crushing you to pieces. But on the surface she still claimed that she had a fate with the sword path since childhood, as if she was born for the sword. Therefore, she still harbored a strong admiration for the sword sect, which excelled in sword arts. At this moment Mo Xiaoqiang, who had been listening to the conversation between the two, became agitated. He immediately walked up angrily, slammed the table and interrupted their conversation. You Emily are actually so disrespectful. How dare you conspire with Elder Sue in public? It seems like you want to snatch the opportunity that Elder Sue was going to bestow upon me. I, Mo Xiaoqiang, am the one destined to be accompanied by the sword since birth. But the suppressed Mo Xiaoqiang by the family bloodline, the outcome can be imagined. The only thing welcoming him is the love on his sister's fist. After dealing with Mo Xiaoqiang, Emily turned around and returned to the chair to continue the conversation with Sue North. But when Sue North heard that Emily still had a gift to give to him, he suddenly lost his composure. He recalled the previous incident of scalding tea water and the small dagger. Sue North quickly blocked Emily with his hand, saying that there was no need for gifts, fearing that Emily might give him some strange gifts again. Xiao Ruoqing on the side watched the two of them exchange meaningful glances, silently deciding in her heart that in this lifetime, she must protect junior sister well. So she immediately spoke up to interrupt their conversation. Then she deliberately reminded them, Master, let's focus on the important matters first. Emily gave Xiao Ruoqing a slightly strange look. The two women looked at each other as if they could read each other's minds, silently vowing to expose the true colors of Sue North this lifetime. Sue North had just come down the mountain when he encountered the red aura sun he had been thinking about. He was about to take her as his disciple. Unexpectedly at this moment, they encountered people from another sect. As a junior sect elder of the untraveled sect, Sue North could not avoid being taunted by others. But a disciple from the sword sect nearby couldn't bear it and quickly stood up to question, what exactly is the unadorned tower sect? It seems like the likes of you probably can't even withstand a strike from my family's fifth elder. Sue North couldn't help but curse in his heart at this moment. Don't involve me when you're showing off. I'm bound to get the blame even if I lie still. The people of the unadorned tower sect felt like they had heard a joke. From what I know, that Sue North from the sword sect has been cultivating for hundreds of years and is still only at the middle divine transcendence stage. I could probably slap him to death with just one hand with that level of strength. I didn't expect someone at a mere divine transcendence stage to become an elder. Your sword sect is really embarrassing our proper sect. At this time, two female disciples Xiao Ruoqing and Emily were both looking at Sue North. Sue North was suddenly scared, breaking out in a cold sweat at the thought of being slapped in the face. Wouldn't that completely ruin his image? Although he could draw the verdant float sword to kill him in seconds, it would be quite a show-off. However, this would waste a Tao Convergence Pinnacle experience card. He only has one left and plans to save it for emergencies in the future. It feels like a bit of a waste to use it on this small-time troublemaker. Just when Sue North was contemplating whether to use the experience card or not. But in the eyes of the onlookers, his indifferent appearance resembled a calm and unruffled gentleman in the face of danger. Look at Elder Luo Riqian from the unadorned tower sect. He looks nonchalant, quite a contrast to the elder from the sword sect. Upon hearing the discussion inside the restaurant, Luo Riqian was immediately furious and started to yell in anger. He exclaimed, Wow, this guy just dared to provoke you like that? Sue North, hurry up and come out to have a fight with me. Your sword sect disciple said that I couldn't even withstand one of your random strikes. I'm actually curious to see what skills you at the Divine Transcendence stage have. At this moment, the disciple behind Sue North is clamoring to come forward. Who's afraid of whom? Sue North looks at this group of sword sect disciples who lack strength and love to show off, feeling helpless. He couldn't help but curse loudly in his heart again. What's the point of showing off when you bunch of useless people in the street have no abilities? It seems that he can only use the Tao Convergence Pinnacle Experience card to deal with it at the moment. But at this moment, a purple sword chi suddenly appeared in the restaurant. Before everyone could react, the sword chi rushed towards Luo Ritian like a towering wave. Luo Ritian realized that the newcomer was at least at the middle nascent void stage. He quickly mobilized the spiritual power in his body to counterattack. In an instant, two powerful spiritual powers collided, creating a huge explosion of energy that quickly erupted in all directions. At this moment, a sword chi was swiftly attacking towards Sue North's face. But Sue North remained unfazed, allowing the sword chi to quickly pass by his side and hit the wall behind him. All the onlookers were stunned to see this scene, but Sue North looked puzzled. Did something just fly past? He asked, confused. Seeing that Sue North was unharmed, Shan Wulan once again exerted all her strength to fully activate the Cloud Sea Sword Chi. Luo Ritian looked at Shan Wulan in disbelief. How is this possible? You are only at the middle nascent void stage. Yet you are already able to communicate with the spiritual chi of heaven and earth. Shan Wulan raised his sword and shouted at Luo Ritian. I ask you, what kind of sect is your unadorned tower sect? On the other hand, Sue North remained calm, watching the two of them quarrel. Unexpectedly, at this moment, the effects of the love-enticing powder earlier began to take effect. Sue North blushed with embarrassment, clutching his crotch tightly, and then closed his eyes, preparing to exert all his strength to push forward the selfless stage. But this action of him closing his eyes only made the surrounding crowd admire him even more. Look at Elder Sue. He hasn't moved at all from the beginning until now. Now he even closed his eyes. And look at the elder from Unadorned Tower Sect. He seems impressive, but his temperament and composure are much inferior to Sue North from Sword Sect. Luo Ritian snorted coldly, and then sarcastically said to Sue North, who had been sitting on the chair all along, I didn't expect that the prestigious elder of Sword Sect is actually a coward who only knows how to hide behind women. What kind of people is your Sword Sect? Upon hearing this, Shan Wulan standing aside was instantly infuriated. Soon she was seen with Cloud Sea Sword Chi surging continuously around her body. Seeing her like this, Luo Ritian couldn't help but panic. He hurriedly gathered his strength and used his trump card, the purple gold hammer. I spared you 3 points because I thought you were a weak woman. Since you don't know how to appreciate my kindness, don't blame me. At this moment, Sue North, who was sitting aside, finally spoke up. Elder Luo, you asked me what Sword Sect is? I will tell you now. I Sword Sect will recruit the people that Unadorned Tower Sect dares not recruit. I Sword Sect will do the things that Unadorned Tower Sect dares not do. I Sword Sect will manage the matters that Unadorned Tower Sect dares not manage. In short, the people Unadorned Tower Sect cannot recruit, Sword Sect will recruit. Luo Ritian unconsciously took a step back. Why can an unestablished sect like yours act recklessly? Just saw Sue North gently grasping the ancient divine sword at his waist at this moment. The next moment, just saw Sue North suddenly draw out the verdant float sword from his waist. At this moment, only saw the verdant float sword frantically absorbing the spiritual chi of heaven and earth all around. Listen carefully, the Sword Sect with the verdant float sword can do as they please. This is the Sword Sect. In an instant, a huge object suddenly appeared in the sky, occupying the entire sky with continuous spiritual chi of heaven and earth surrounding it. This is a sword chi of 10,000 feet, blocking the azure sky sword. This is the treasure of the Sword Sect, the verdant float sword. The man accidentally got hit by the seductive love-enticing powder. At this time there was still a stunning female disciple standing beside him, and he tried hard to stick to his original intentions. Who knew that the female disciple had also been afflicted by the same seductive venom as him? Before Sue North could react, Emily had instantly pressed against him. The next moment Sue North only felt a sweet fragrance on his lips. But just a few minutes ago the woman wanted to crush Sue North. She saw the man effortlessly defeat several powerful elders of the Unadorned Tower Sect with just one move. The shocking scene made all three people look on in disbelief. Mo Xiaoqiang looked at his sister Emily, who was licking a small sword, with a shocked expression on his face. Don't you feel anything strange? Before Emily could react, A mischievous smile appeared on Emo Xiaoqiang's face, and then he got up and ran towards Su North. At this moment, Su North was still immersed in his showing off just now. This trip to Ink City is really a big harvest. The missing disciple has been found. The money for the recruitment conference is also available. Not only did he discover a talented female disciple, but he also showed off in front of everyone. At this point, Su North patted Emo Xiaoqiang, who was running towards him, on the head, then looked towards Emoli. How about it, do you want to consider becoming my disciple? However, the next moment Su North's heart sank. Although Emoli was a bit off originally, why did he suddenly become even more unusual? The face that had looked cold now had rosy cheeks. Her eyes were watery as she gazed at herself, able to see the irregular and rapid rise and fall of the mountains in front of her chest. A heat gradually spread throughout her body. Emoli finally understood why her younger brother's gaze at her was off. Damn it, how could she subconsciously lick that small dagger? Theoretically, there wasn't even talk of an antidote for it. I'm so hot, master, Emoli muttered fuzzily. Xiaoruoqing was shocked by Emoli's subconscious words. Had Emoli already decided that Su North was the master so quickly in her mind? No, I must stop her from accepting Su North as her master. Otherwise, she will definitely be persecuted by this fake gentleman Su North. Just as Xiaoruoqing's eyes kept changing, Su North had already taken off his long robe and wrapped Emoli up in his white shirt. Master needs to take the lead and make a trip to Red Pavilion first. You handle these matters with Ninth Elder first. After you finish, you can go to Red Pavilion to find Master in a while. After speaking, Su North leaped up under Xiaoruoqing's gaze, holding Emoli, and disappeared in an instant from where they were. As soon as Su North stepped into the Red Pavilion, he asked with an anxious look, "Where is your sect master now? Take me to see her quickly." On the side, Starlight Moon, a female disciple, was surprised to see Su North. "Elder Su, our sect master is currently on the first floor. Let me take you there," she said. Su North nodded in agreement. As soon as he entered, he heard Yu Red Sleeve's charming laughter. "Oh, I never expected my little brother to have such preferences," she teased. But Su North was in no mood for jokes and quickly asked, "Sister, please check if you have any antidote here." Before he finished speaking, Su North rushed in and gently placed Emoli on the soft carpet. Su North felt anxious, though he didn't know why Emoli suddenly changed like this. As Emoli's master, he couldn't allow his disciple to be harmed in the slightest. After all, he was counting on his disciples to level up in the future. Yu Red Sleeve sat down slowly, and then placed her jade hand on Emoli's forehead. Taking another careful look, she seemed to have some realization in her heart. I didn't expect that she had actually been affected by the love-enticing powder. No wonder Su North became so anxious. Then she stood up and gave Su North a faint smile. What affected this woman is not considered a poison. Its essence is just something that stimulates the human nerves. Since this thing is not a poison, where does the idea of an antidote come from? Su North swallowed heavily. Without an antidote, it seems that this time only the most primitive method can be used. Su North's eyes flashed with a hint of determination. Then he pouted and slowly approached Emoli. Just as the distance between them was only 0.01 millimeters, Yu Red Sleeves then leisurely said, "In fact, besides the most primitive way, there are other methods as well." Su North's body stiffened for a moment, then he glared at Yu Red Sleeves and said, "Sister, stop beating around the bush. Please tell me, what method do you have to solve this?" Yu Red Sleeves took out a small bottle from his pocket. "This is unique to our Red Pavilion. I love a log. After taking it, the person will become more irresistible. But the interaction of the drug will flow through the meridians. If not suppressed in time, the meridians will be damaged. Sister, are you using poison to fight poison? What if things go wrong? Don't worry, brother. The cold jade pool in Red Pavilion can serve the effect of suppression. Just soak the girl in the cold jade pool, and use spiritual power to continuously cleanse the meridians, naturally detoxifying her successfully." Su North blinked his eyes and thought for a moment. "Seems that we can only give it a try now. Thank you in advance, sister." As soon as the words fell, a fair and delicate beautiful face suddenly appeared in front of Su North. Right after that, before he could react, Yu Red Sleeves suddenly leaned in close to Su North's ear and whispered softly, "Easy on the roughhousing." Suddenly a cold, menacing look appeared in Emoli's eyes. She is determined to send everyone who betrays her to hell in this lifetime. She thought about this. The original self can't guarantee that. The girl worships her savior as her teacher. But they are single-mindedly wanting to destroy their own master. Only because Su North recognized his innate Tao body from his past life did he accept him as a disciple. He not only trained him to become a furnace, but also nourished him day and night. In the end, even his Tao bones were dug out by her. In this life they are reincarnated and return, swearing to crush Master to dust. However, Su North is also a time traveler. He never expected that the disciple assigned to him by the system would actually want to betray the Master and destroy the sect. Even more unexpectedly for Su North, the first time the Master and disciple met. Surprisingly, both of them accidentally fell under the influence of the seductive love-enticing powder. At this moment, Emily's whole body is feeling hot as she slowly approaches Su North. Then she reached out with her delicate jade hand and tried to get close to Su North. With a black line on his face, Su North quickly pushed her aside. "Talk some sense, okay? This elder saved you without doing anything inappropriate. That's already kind enough. Why are you giving me a look as if you want to eat me?" Just as Emily was lost in her own thoughts. Suddenly, a crisp voice entered the ears of the two people. "Master, what are you doing?" Su North turned to look at Xiao Ruoqing and said calmly, "Naturally, we are saving someone. Didn't I already tell you before we came?" After Shan Wulan saw that nothing unusual had happened between the two, the tension that had been hanging over her finally eased. Maintaining her usual aloof demeanor, she said, "Senior brother, as long as you're okay, then it's fine. I will leave first." After Emily returned to her normal self, she quickly apologized to Su North. She mentioned that she had acted impulsively and crossed some boundaries with Elder Su. She hoped that Elder Su wouldn't blame her. However, Su North didn't seem to mind too much and said, "It's okay. It's probably because the effects of the medicine haven't worn off yet. You should stay in the cold jade pool a little longer." Seeing that Xiao Ruoqing was sitting idle nearby, he arranged for Xiao Ruoqing to take care of Emily. After all, she had just gone through an experience that could ruin her reputation. After Su North arrived at the council chamber with you red sleeves, he finally relaxed. He was relieved that his senior disciple had come at a critical moment. You red sleeves looked at Su North with a smile in his eyes. He didn't expect his younger brother to have actually endured it. It was impressive. But Su North did have official business to discuss with her. Seeing Su North's serious expression, you red sleeves also put away his playful demeanor. Then she took out a spiritual mirror. "Brother Su, this type of spiritual mirror, although not a top-quality item, is not expensive to produce. I believe it should meet your requirements. You can try it out to see its effectiveness." Upon receiving the spiritual mirror, Su North immediately wrote a bunch of gossip on it. You red sleeves stared at the content in the newspaper with a shocked expression. The title seems to say nothing, but at the same time it seems to say everything. At the same time, the news of Su North pulling out the verdant float sword has spread throughout the entire Ink City. Emily's father was also quite shocked when he saw the news. At that moment, he thought that Emily and Emo Xiaoqiang seemed to have gone to find Su North. He didn't know how they were doing now. At this time, the butler on the side told Emo Jean that they first had a meal with Su North, and then it seemed like Miss accidentally took an aphrodisiac. Now Miss has been carried by Su North to the Red Pavilion. When this was said, Emo Jean immediately became angry. "Su North, how dare you drug my precious daughter and take her to the brothel? Get my horse ready. Notify the Emo family disciples to surround Red Pavilion." Then, an interesting phenomenon occurred on the main street of Ink City. Countless crowds instantly filled Red Pavilion, and the sounds of shouting and cursing were continuous. Not long after, a disciple came to report that the master of Emo family had arrived and wanted to see Elder Su. And he was mumbling something while cursing. I didn't hear it clearly, but he said he wanted to give Elder Su a thorough dressing down. Upon hearing this, Su North immediately tightened the crotch of his pants, but still walked away calmly. "Since the master of the Emo family is looking for me, I'll just go and see what it's about." At this moment, outside the Red Pavilion, Emo Jean is holding an 80-meter-long sword, waiting for Su North. At this moment, the gate slowly opened, and everyone thought Su North was coming out. After waiting for a long time, they only saw someone named Emo Xiaoqiang coming out. At this moment, Emo Xiaoqiang was still fantasizing in his heart. "Sister and Elder Su have been inside for so long. Maybe Elder Su has become my brother-in-law by now." As he walked, Emo Xiaoqiang suddenly felt like he had run into a wall. He suddenly opened his eyes wide, only to find his father staring at him sternly. Before he could react, his father slapped him hard and said, "Why didn't you protect your sister, Emo Xiaoqiang? She took the aphrodisiac herself. How could I control her actions?" With a look of grievance. At the same time, two familiar figures appeared behind the crowd. When the crowd saw that the newcomers were Su North, they immediately started discussing. Have you heard? This Su North ruins people's livelihood and prostitutes his daughter. Truly a wicked villain who bullies men and dominates women. But Su North remained silent about these groundless accusations. In his eyes, whether to speak or not, it is all meaningless. But Emojan sees it differently. His daughter has been brought into this mess without reason. He is willing to risk his life to seek an explanation. Su North, speak up. What have you done to my daughter in Red Pavilion? If anything happens to Lear, I will never spare you. As soon as the words fell, a woman in a belly band walked out from the Red Pavilion. 2 female disciples who were previously enemies joined forces to bring their master to justice. But now, the 2 of them are competing and feeling jealous of Su North. Emily is changing clothes in the room at the moment. She saw Xiao Ruoqing following her and asked, Xiao Immortal Madam, which of these 2 outfits do you think looks better on me? Xiao Ruoqing gazed at Emily in front of her with complex eyes, not knowing who Miss Emo was dressing up for when selecting these clothes. Emily smiled lightly and said, Naturally, it's for the person who is going to see me. Xiao Ruoqing pursed her red lips and asked, Have you already done it? Emily sat aside, gently placing a jade leg on the stool. Shiny and moist water droplets slid down the smooth jade leg. Emily took out a handkerchief and wiped it gently, saying calmly, It's a pity you came at the wrong time. Otherwise it's hard to say. But it's strange why Xiao Immortal Madam has become so nervous. At this thought, Xiao Ruoqing adjusted her breathing, then slightly tightened her small hand and said to Emily, Miss Emo, I advise you to stay away from Su North, because you simply have no idea about his true character. Emily's mouth revealed a hint of a cold smile as she leaned forward slightly. Do I still need you to remind me about Elder Su's character? It's surprising that Xiao Immortal Madam, as Elder Su's disciple, is meddling even in her master's private affairs.